Very much, Mr. Chairman. As we examine the Dodd-Frank Act 5 years later, and if I were to go down a checklist with the panel here, too big to fail continues. In fact, Dodd-Frank institutionalized it. Our secondary mortgage market remains in limbo, with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac CEOs set to make $4 million now in salary on the backs of the American taxpayers who had bailed out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Insurance regulation remains fragmented. Securities regulatory arbitrage is still possible with the SEC and CFTC as competing regulators. So I think the answer to the question, is our financial system more stable, as Dr. Calabria succinctly put it, I think the answer to that is no. Dodd-Frank abolished one failed regulator, the OTS, and gave us 3 more, the CFPB, the OFR, and FSOC. So the Office of Financial Research was set up to look around corners and identify potential systemic risks, to improve standardization of financial data and fill gaps in data collection and support the FSOC in its work. That was the concept. And Mr. Atkins, as you know, the OFR performed an analysis of the asset management industry at the request of the FSOC in order to determine whether asset management firms should be designated as SIFIs and subjected to oversight by the Federal Reserve. The OFR's conclusions were described by SEC Commissioner Gallagher as, in his words, fundamentally flawed, and the inevitable results of the OFR not only inaccurately defining and describing the activities and participants in the asset management business, but also, quote, analyzing the purported risks posed by asset managers in a vacuum instead of in the context of the broader financial markets, unquote. Mr. Atkins, do you think this work of the OFR was flawed?
Absolutely. I thought it was a travesty, actually. I mean, you couldn't even describe it as scholarship. It was riddled with errors.
Last year, Congressman Murphy and I put forward a bipartisan bill, the Office of Financial Research Accountability Act. Members of this committee on both sides of the aisle have heard constant criticism about the quality of research at the OFR and the lack of real coordination between the office and Federal financial regulators. The bill would address these issues, I think, in a very thoughtful way. The bill, as drafted, would require the OFR to submit for public notice and comment an annual report that details the office's work for the upcoming year. Additionally, the bill would require the OFR to coordinate with financial regulators when they conduct future studies. And I would ask you, I know you and I both might want to go further in reforms of the OFR, but would you support these balanced, bipartisan reforms to the office?
Yes, that's a great start.
And I'll ask Mr. Calabria this same question.
Well, I guess I'd say I've been here too long to think anything other than the devils in the details. So let me say, conceptually it sounds good, but without having read the bill, I'd want to take a look at it before I would say anything stronger.
I appreciate your support, at least for the conceptual concept behind it, and I'll yield back the balance of my time to the Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, panel.